The tip this week is about how to seam horizontal edges like this that are created when you bind off a series of stitches, and where you see this most frequently is on a shoulder seam. And so I have two pieces, and when I place them together they are going to form a shoulder. Now what a lot of knitters tend to do who haven't had much experience in seaming is that they will go along and they will use the bound off stitches, which, as we discussed last week, you don't want to do that. But when they get to this location, they say, oh, it's a hole. It matches this hole on the other side, and I'm going to place my seam in there. Anytime you put a needle in a hole, it doesn't make that hole smaller, it makes that hole bigger. If you want to make a hole smaller, you place things on either side of the hole, and that will smush it together. And that's a general rule for picking up stitches or seaming or whatever. Now, as with the horizontal edges we did last week, I'm going to go into my first stitch on this side, and then I'm going to go into my first stitch on this side. And remember, it's upside down, so I can either train myself to look at it in such a way that I know that this is the stitch, or I can look at it, and I'm going to look at it. I'm going to go in here and in here. Okay, and so far this is just the same as a plain old horizontal. And once you've got this going, it's easy because you go into the same place you came out and you have two legs of a stitch on either side. So I'm going to go in there. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go in here, and on the other side I'm going to go in where I came out, and I'm going to have two legs of a stitch, and if I think I'm not in the center of the stitch I can turn it upside down and check myself. And I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to go in here. Well, here's where I come to my first stair step, and the rule for doing a horizontal edge is that you go into the stitch immediately below the bind off. So here's my stitch. This is a space between two stitches. So where I'm going to go is all the way up here. This is the stitch below my bind off. And that may look like that could not possibly work. I mean, look how far away that is. And I'm going to go ahead and continue on. Continue on. And let's say I've finished it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, like with the mattress stitch, you just give it a yank, and that closes up that edge. You can see that I do not have any holes there. Now, I've seamed this in red, so the seaming thread is going to be somewhat visible. And it may not be absolutely gorgeous. Doing short rows would give you a cleaner look, but if this is what the pattern says, this is the way that you seam it. You don't have any holes, and the gap between those stair steps is completely closed up. And I'm going to be taking a hiatus probably for the rest of May, as I'm going to be at a conference in Mackinac and on vacation. So I'll resume sometime in June.